So the San Francisco 49ers are coming off the biggest win of their season so far, elevating their record to 4-5 and putting on an absolute show in San Francisco to beat the LA Rams on Monday night, primetime football, all for America to see. After there was all this noise and chirp about the LA Rams forming a super team with newly acquired Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller, the 49ers put on an absolute clinic versus them, whereas the Jaguars on the other side lost a heartbreaker to the Indianapolis Colts. They sit at 0-3 in the division, 2-7 with their record, and they're looking to have a bounce back game versus the 49ers. So let's get down into this matchup. Now, before we begin today's video, I'd like to give a huge shout out to FLTeams.com, who I've partnered and collab with. At FLTeams.com, we do sports articles and blogs on the daily regarding sports teams in the state of Florida from the collegiate and at the professional level. If you guys would like to go check out FLTeams.com, I will link to them down below. And also, don't forget to drop me one of these. So I always like to talk about the opposition first, and that comes with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the 49ers did get off to a 2-0 start. Had a little bit of a slump, but they're right back in the thick of things in the NFC wildcard race, but they are in the toughest division in football. They're not catching the LA Rams or Cardinals, at least in terms of standings, but they are probably a team, if they remain healthy, that is going to be able to compete and get hot at the right time for an NFC wildcard spot. Now, the 49ers ran the ball down the Rams' throat, which was something very impressive, and it wasn't just Eli Mitchell, it was also Deebo Samuel, and the way that they're scheming these guys to actually create run gaps in between these zones. They weren't just hitting the hole. They had a lot of counters, a lot of cutbacks. Then they had a couple where they were going through the A gap. Seeing what Kyle Shanahan did was absolutely impressive. Telling Sean McVay, I'm going to run the ball down your throats, control the time of possession, 39 minutes with the ball. And the 49ers put on a clinic in terms of running the ball down the Rams' throat, and they couldn't stop it. They seriously couldn't. But the 49ers defense is something that I definitely am concerned about with the Jaguars heading into this game, because the Jaguars just do not have a lot of talent when it comes to the receivers, but this 49ers defense has a lot of great players with guys like obviously Bosa, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner. The list goes on. The 49ers are actually only allowing opposing quarterbacks to get 208 yards passing per game, which is top 10 in the league. The 49ers are doing a phenomenal job, I think, running the ball, playing good defense, and playing with that control and that tempo. They're not a team that can fall behind and get back into the game. They're more than capable of doing it, but that's not the way that Kyle Shanahan wants to run this team. He wants to play good defense and play with the lead and run the ball, which is very evident from what we saw Monday night in football, and that's why the Rams were able to fold, and that's why the 49ers played a very good game. Let's hop into the Jaguar side of things. Now, I do think that the Jaguars defense has been very solid this season, and I do think that they're going to do a very good job against this 49ers, at least in terms of the run game. Jimmy G is probably going to have his dimes to Deebo Samuel here and there. Obviously, you've got guys like Brandon Ayuk and a handful of others, George Kittle. The list goes on, but the fact of the matter is that this 49ers team, as I alluded to, wants to run the ball, and the Jaguars have a very good run defense. Even though Jonathan Taylor went absolutely berserk on the Jaguars in that first quarter, they basically limited Jonathan Taylor, the best running back in football right now, to, I'd say, like less than 50 yards, if I remember correctly, the rest of the game. Through the other three quarters, the Jags' run defense has played significantly better, and they've stepped up when they've needed to. The Jaguars' defense only allowed 16 points to the Indianapolis Colts last week. There was 23 on the board, but obviously there was the block punch, so the Jaguars' defense is what I'm referring to. But the Jaguars' offense is my concern, and I think that's everyone's concern with this Jaguars team. It's not just Mr. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence back there with his 8 touchdowns passing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 58% completion percentage, just under 2,000 yards throwing. Sometimes it's the ill-advised throws, which he's a rookie, he's learning, but the skill position guys are just not helping him out. He's statistically a bottom 3 quarterback in the NFL when it comes to third down efficiency, but not only that, these guys are dropping balls. The Jaguars lead the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, in drop passes on third down. Jamal Agnew, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones Jr., Dan Arnold, Luke Farrell, all of these guys are serviceable. None of these guys are number 1 or number 2 wide receivers, which is ultimately what derails Trevor Lawrence and the rest of this offense from being fluid. But yes, I do believe that this Jaguars offense will be able to pick things back up. 1, because they're playing at home. 2, because I do have faith and trust in James Robinson and in Trevor Lawrence, Mr. Sunshine back there. But also the thing that you notice is that Darrell Bevell and his offense is significantly different from what Kyle Shanahan's doing over there with San Francisco. Bevell is very straight to the point, like, hey, we're going to run the ball here. We're going to do a naked bootleg. Hey, run a hitch route, run deep. There's not a lot of rubs and there's not a lot of picks. There's not a lot of screen sets. There's not really a lot of that. Whereas Kyle Shanahan in that offense implements a lot of that into their offensive game. So the Jags got to find a way to actually like get these guys open, because these guys aren't talented enough to do that. They just got to scheme better, come in with a better game plan. But I do trust that the Jaguars will get things back up together. But I still think that it's going to be a great matchup regardless. I think the 49ers really need this game. And I think the Jaguars just want this game for confidence and winning again in front of TIAA Bank Field. Obviously, I'll be at the game this Sunday, so make sure y'all stay tuned for the vlog. And last thing I want to address with this team in this matchup is the fact that the special teams lost the game for the Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. As I alluded to, the defense only allowed 16 points. But not only that, Matthew Wright missed a field goal, typical, and Logan Cook had his punt blocked, which is a rare thing. It's never happened until this past week. So the Jaguars defense needs to step up again, create some turnovers, create some pressure. Special teams cannot fold and lose the game for us. The Jaguars are not good enough of a team to just allow special teams points. So hopefully the Jaguars can get things back up together, but I do think that this will be a great matchup for both teams. But that's basically it for this video. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys like, turn on notifications, and hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jacksonville Jaguars and NBA content that I do here on YouTube. And lastly, I want to hear you guys drop some score predictions down below for this game. For Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. Peace.